Welcome to another informative video on project management. Today we will explore the risk management and planning. I will walk you through a practical example of a risk register and show you how to utilize the impact and likelihood matrix to your advantage. By the end of this video, you will have a clear understanding of the management process and you will be able to use your very own risk register effectively. Let's dive in. Let's first clarify the difference between a risk and risk management process. A risk is a potential challenge or uncertainty, a scenario that we anticipate based on various factors. This is precisely why we assess and predict their likelihood. If the risk is already known, then it's not a risk, but an issue. It's also crucial to understand that a risk's impact can either be positive or negative. That means that it can create opportunities or cause threats with either positive or negative consequences. In every case, a comprehensive risk assessment should include both the cause, that is what triggers the risk, but also the effect, how it impacts the project's outcome. According to Association of Project Management, risk analysis and risk management is a process that allows individual risk events and overall risk to be understood and managed proactively, optimizing success by minimizing threats and maximizing opportunities and outcomes. Here you can see a simple likelihood and impact or consequence matrix rated on a scale of 1 to 5. Likelihood and impact matrix is a great tool for understanding and prioritizing risks. So, after we identify the risks, we can then classify them on this matrix and use it as a visual aid in order to discuss with our stakeholders in a team meeting or even better in a risk workshop. By placing a risk on this matrix, we can quickly assess its potential impact and likelihood, both rated from 1 to 5. This makes it easy to understand and discuss the risk with our key stakeholders. The matrix also helps us see at one glance whether a risk is low or high in terms of impact and likelihood, allowing us to focus our efforts where they matter most. And now you will say, okay, till here, but when do I actually risk assess or manage? Well, risk planning should initiate in the concept phase of the project, typically with an assessment of the key or main risks to the project. And this happens because it will help the project board to decide whether the project is too risky to even start. The risk management process, as you see here, consists of several key steps. It begins with the initiate phase, where we establish the framework and objectives for risk management. Next comes the identify phase, in which we pinpoint potential risks by analyzing various internal and external factors to the organization. Once identified, we assess the impact and likelihood of these risks. Then, in the plan response phase, we develop strategies to mitigate or exploit these risks. And at the end, we implementing these responses and continuously managing the process in order to adapt to changing circumstances. This systematic approach helps us proactively address and navigate risks in our projects, ultimately increasing the chances of success. Let's now assume that we had a risk workshop and we had our brainstorming session with our key stakeholders. We probably used the PESTLE and SWOT analysis during this workshop in order to identify both internal and external risks. For these two frameworks we will talk in another video. Now let's see how to assess them and record them. Here you see an example of a risk register, which is a tool for identifying, assessing, and managing potential risks in a project, helping the team make informed decisions and take appropriate actions to minimize negative impacts. Don't forget that Risk Register is a live document that gets regularly updated throughout the life cycle of a project. You can use Microsoft Excel to create one, but be mindful that many project management tools are out there, such as Microsoft Project, Asana, Trello, and Jira, which offer built-in features for creating and managing risk registers. So be open and explore which tools work better for your team. Let's now explain these columns. First, we need an ID or a risk identifier. That's a unique identification number or code assigned to each risk for easy reference. Then we need a risk description that includes both a cause and an effect or multiple effects, a brief description of the risk including what might cause it and what its potential impact or consequences. In our example here, potential supply chain disruptions may arise due to recent legal regulations, that's the cause, resulting in project delivery delays and increased costs. So delays is one effect and increased costs the other one. Then we add the date when the risk was initially identified. And after we identify the risk, we need to rate it on a scale from 1, which is low, to 5, which is high, that assesses how likely it is for the risk to occur. And this is the likelihood. Again, we have another rating, similar rating, for the impact on a scale from 1, low, to 5, high, that evaluates the potential severity of the risk's impact on the project. And then we have likelihood multiplied by impact, and this column represents the product of the likelihood and impact ratings, which helps us determine the risk's overall significance. I provide you the formula here in case you need it, which helped me to both multiply and classify my risks to low, medium, and high. Then we have the inherent score, and this is the initial risk score before any mitigation actions are taken. It's where we classify our risks. So here, if our score is from 1 to 8, our risk is low. If it's from 9 to 15, is medium, and from 16 to 25 is high, is a critical, very critical risk. Then we have the mitigation strategy, and the approach or strategy chosen to address and reduce the risk. This is up to your team to decide which mitigation strategy is better, ideal, suitable for your risk. Common strategies include acceptance, reduction, sharing, fallback, transfer, or avoidance. But please look the descriptions of these mitigation strategies. Then we have the mitigation action. Here we include the specific action or actions that we are going to take in order to mitigate or reduce the risk according to the chosen strategy. Then we need a day to review the risk and its mitigation actions in order to assess the effectiveness of the risk. Now, if the risk stays open after the review date, then it's a good practice to review it regularly. Maybe I would say on a weekly basis, depends on its score. Then after the review, we have another assessment of the likelihood and impact of each risk, and these columns represent the likelihood and impact ratings after mitigation efforts have been implemented. You can see here the likelihood multiplied by impact again, but now we call it residual score, and that means that we have revised the risk score after mitigation, which helps us to evaluate the remaining risk significance. And risk open close indicates whether the risk is currently an open concern, that means unresolved, or closed, which means successfully mitigated. You can also add one more column here if you want to create your categorization of your risks. That can be, for example, that the risk is operational, is project risk, is financial, reputational, environmental, etc. And there you have it. I hope you found this video insightful. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned for more valuable videos. Thanks for watching.